Hey guys, and welcome into the Roxy Report. Okay, so a couple of days ago, I had something pretty amazing happen. The BBC reached out to me, which still blows my mind, to go on their radio station, BBC Radio Wiltshire, and talk about Mary Douglas, who is a Tory councillor who has said some pretty kind of racy stuff about the trans community, and I was brought on to give the outlook of a transgendered woman. And this was amazing because I never ever thought that I would be taken seriously. I mean, look at my channel, let's be honest, enough to be able to do something like this. I did the show and I have the audio for you guys, which is going to be the rest of this video because it blows my mind, and it's something that I'm just so happy about, and it may help you guys to listen to it. People in the US that wouldn't have ever heard this before, then you can. And it's just amazing. At 9 o'clock that day, I was also played on the news, on the BBC News, which is crazy. That audio is the same audio from my interview that they obviously cut up and used in the news broadcast, so of course I won't play that because it's the same thing. But the idea that I was on the BBC talking about trans rights, trying to fight for our community, is amazing. So I will let you listen to this. I hope you guys are doing fantastically. If you could leave a like on this video, it would really help me out a lot, and I hope my views are representative of you, and because I kind of had everyone on my back, really. I had to kind of cater for everyone, but this is my interview with the BBC. Ooh.
Now, a Wiltshire councillor is facing growing criticism following comments she made on BBC Radio 4's Today programme, talking about transgender people. Speaking on behalf of the activist group Grassroots Conservatives, Mary Douglas was responding to proposals made by the Equalities Minister, Justine Greening, to make it easier if you want to change your gender. Well, this is what Mary Douglas actually said.
Very concerned about it. In my view, it should not be easy to do something as massive as change your gender. And the law is there to protect us, normally from other people, but also sometimes from ourselves. And I think many people have really profound concerns about this. If somebody thinks they have a mismatch between how they think and the way their body is, the question is which should be changed. And what's interesting, I think, is that many people who have gender dysphoria also have, not all, but many have other mental health conditions like depression or drug addiction, or, you know, they're deeply troubled. And it has been proven that when they change their gender, that doesn't solve those issues. So there's an underlying issue here.
But underlying what you've said, I think, is the suggestion that being uncertain about your gender, or indeed wanting to change your gender, is itself a mental health condition. Is that your view?
Certainly, I'm not a doctor, but I have read doctors who think that it is, and until very recently, that was the widely accepted, that was the medical consensus, and I don't see that anything has changed.
What would you say to people who say that the suggestion that people change their gender casually, without thought, the suggestion that it stems from a mental illness, is insulting to people who simply know that they are born in the wrong body and need to change?
Well, I think it's certainly not intended to be insulting, but I think if, for example, you have someone with anorexia who says, I'm too fat, and you look at them and you go, really, you are not, it's not actually respectful or loving to affirm that person in a belief that is false, that doesn't tie up with reality.
Well, that's what Mary Douglas, Grassroots Conservative spokesperson, had to say, talking to the BBC's Nick Robinson. Currently, people must be diagnosed with what's called gender dysphoria, a condition where a person's biological sex and identity simply do not match before they can apply for a change of gender. Well, Mary's comments, of course, some controversy. Listening to that interview with Nick Robinson was Roxy Clark. Roxy is a transgender activist from Salisbury. In fact, Roxy hosts her own YouTube channel. It's called TheRoxyReport. And Roxy, morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Graham. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm doing really, really well. Thank you for having me on. This is quite crazy.
Well, you were listening intently to what Councillor Douglas had to say. So give us your reaction.
Firstly, I'd like to say that I don't think anyone kind of chooses to go through transition lightly. It's not something that we wake up one day and go, oh, this seems like a great idea. Go from my own personal experience. I came out in 2011 and have really struggled, mainly I think with social stigma, and I think the biggest part of her discussion was on mental health and the kind of causes of depression and how that could be perceived. Personally, I think that many of the mental health conditions related to being trans are kind of caused by social reasons. Let's say when I came out, I suffered from depression, and that was mainly because I had to come out to my entire family and had to feel accepted, I suppose. It wasn't because I wanted to change my gender as such. So those views I feel are a little bit negative towards what I'm going through and what hundreds of thousands of other people are going through as well. So yeah, sorry, go on.
Would you say you still suffer with mental health issues?
I definitely suffer from depression and anxiety. But that's my own issues. But
has that changed at all since you changed your gender?
Yeah. I feel a lot happier in myself, honestly. Since I came out and felt accepted by my family, those have definitely gone down, not on the level that they were before.
Well, some of what Councillor Mary Douglas was saying, talking about the mental health issues surrounding gender dysphonia. I mean, in your experience, and I know you know an awful lot of people from this community, do they exist?
No, I don't think so. I feel like saying that we have a mental disorder. It's like if you think back in the day, like being gay was classed as a mental disorder, and of course that's not the case anymore because I think times have moved on. Even the World Health Organization were talking about even last July, hopefully getting rid of gender dysphoria from the list, and those talks are still going on, mainly kind of pushed by Denmark and places like that. The idea that there are drug addicts and we are troubled is not a very kind of positive light, and I personally don't know anyone who is a drug addict in the trans community.
The sheer fact that it is on that list, do you think that's why people outside of the transgender community don't fully understand, maybe are confused by this? I
think that they need they need something to believe in. They need a reason. And what I'm hoping to do, hopefully with this and with my channel, is kind of give another outlook. We need to explain that we're normal people. We're just trying to live our lives and just get on with it. And honestly, it's such a great thing in the last couple of years. Thankfully, people have spoken out, and it's become this great movement. And I'm really, really happy for that. And what I'm hoping to do is help people understand. And I think the biggest reason is stigma and people not understanding.
Well, look, Mary Douglas is a councillor in Salisbury. Roxy, you live in Salisbury. If you bumped into Mary on the street, what would you want to say?
I'd shake her hand. I honestly, I don't. I dislike hate or anything else. I would be like, hi, and I would try and talk to her about her views, and I'd give her my views, and I think I just want to have a conversation about it. And if I could help her see a different light and she could talk to me about her opinions, then that would be absolutely fine. I think that...
Is that the answer, perhaps? Just talking to one another and actually having a conversation. Then we can understand each other better.
Oh, if only that was that easy, yeah.
If only. It's only. Roxy, it's good to talk to you again this morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me on. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Roxy Clark from Salisbury. It's just gone 7:30.